That's stupid. The American two-party system. I am not an expert at all on this matter, but even I can tell that the American political system has a lot of fundamental problems. And I don't even mean the insane amount of lobbying and corruption you have over there. I mean broken aspects within the system itself. To just name a few I am aware of: gerrymandering, nominees being more or less exclusively selected by the 1%, the uneven weight a voter's voice has depending on where they live, the fact that at its heart it's undemocratic thanks to the Electoral College, and despite the alleged existence of checks and balances, a completely overpowered position in form of the president, who is barely touchable by law and can easily shut down the entire government if he doesn't get his will. I mean, could you imagine what would happen if you give this position to a dishonest, self-serving megalomaniac who... Oh. Never mind. Anyways, all of that is pretty stupid and should probably be fixed sooner rather than later if America ever wants an actual democracy. But one issue that at least partially plays into many of these problems, hinders the process of fixing stuff and is generally a bad idea, is the limitation of only two parties in government. Where do I even begin? The first point of stupid is the fact that it actually isn't a two-party system to begin with. Framers like Washington have been outspoken against partisanship, and neither the Constitution nor the Bill of Rights ever call for parties at all, let alone limited to two. And certainly not the two we have today. Both have been founded decades later. But how would more parties help? What is the problem with having only two? For starters, you have managed to turn the American political landscape, with all its nuances, spectrum of opinions on different topics, a more or less infinitely complex field, binary. And before you say, isn't simplifying a good thing? No, not to that degree. While it is true that not every individual can be perfectly represented, reducing it to only two options is an outright harmful oversimplification. Over the last handful of decades, a growing radicalization has started to define the platforms of both parties. It is with us or against us, liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican, red versus blue. Consequently, this black and white attitude seeps down to all issues: universal healthcare, gay marriage, gun control. Each party is either 100% for or 100% against each controversial topic. And this attitude leaves no room for any middle ground. If you happen to agree with all party politics, good for you! But for most people it is not that easy. How is a gay NRA member supposed to vote, for example? He has to either betray his love for his guns or for his partner. Or not vote at all, which is what about 40% of all eligible American voters usually opt for, and it is hard to blame them. But even among those Americans who have not yet given up on politics due to the utter lack of alternatives, you often enough witness a against the other side mentality. How many voted for Trump in 2016 just to not vote Hillary, as well as the other way around? To all these issues, additional parties could provide solutions. There could be a party for gay gun nuts and any other combination of ideals that fits neither the Democratic or Republican agenda. While no party ever will be a perfect fit for most citizens, the compromises the individual voters have to make is potentially a lot smaller if more diverse parties are available. In addition, suddenly the political landscape is a far more accurate representation of how the American people truly feel and think. Maybe there is an actual pro-LGBT, pro-Second Amendment majority out there that is currently invisible because they split themselves between Dems and GOP based on minor reasons. Now, the big question is, where would the additional parties come from? The idea of building a new party from the ground up and sending it against the two pre-existing big boys could work, but seems like a very long and unfair uphill battle. Just ask the Libertarian Party. An alternative that would come with a lot more initial resistance but could actually create a multi-party system a lot quicker and without the risk of the existing parties sabotaging the process would be to split off ideologically unaligned groups like, for example, the Tea Party movement, aka Freedom Caucus, from the Republicans and Socialists from the Democrats. This would allow the smaller parties to properly stand up for their ideals. The bigger ones would have a more streamlined membership, and the voting public gets a better way to express what they actually want by having more than two flavors. Win, win, win. And before you declare such a split impossible, I have literally seen it happen myself here in Germany in 2004 when the left wing of the SPD, one of our major parties, split off to do their own thing, what a few years down the line led to the creation of a new party known as the Left, which thrives to this day. Now, will the Republicans end up forming a coalition with the Tea Party most of the time? Yeah, most likely. But then they will have to publicly negotiate a coalition contract instead of making some dubious undemocratic backroom deals. And there will be no more ambiguity about how much weight the Tea Party actually carries compared to the rest of the Conservatives. A legit concern here is that this kind of process where parties need to form coalitions and negotiate compromises in order to get necessary majorities to actually govern sounds inefficient. And living in a country where this is how the system works, I can tell you it kind of is. But is it really less efficient than a system with only two parties who do their very best to stonewall each other because they are eternal competitors who switch the roles of showrunner and opposition every few terms just for the new one in charge to roll back as much as possible from what the other one just achieved because they spent the last few terms declaring how bad it all was? Sorry, but this sounds not just inefficient but downright self-sabotaging. Now, I can already see some worries people have about a multi-party system. Does this mean that every little party gets to be part of the government? That sounds messy. And it is. Just look at the Reichstag from 1928 here in Germany. We had 15 parties being part of the government. But there is no reason to repeat mistakes from the past. The parties that only got 2 or 3 seats did not really have any way to begin with and only watered the process down. So in order to keep it efficient and not waste everybody's time, nowadays we have a threshold in our Bundestag. A party needs to get at least 5% of all votes in order to be part of the government at all. This way any party already has at least 35 seats and a decent amount of relevance. As a consequence, our current Bundestag looks like this, with only 6 parties involved. By the way, you see this blue group on the left? These are the German right-wing populists. Yes, we have them too, and they got a disturbingly large number during the last election. But because they are their own party and are not automatically associated to one of the only 2 existing parties, you can easily see that they only represent 13% and not half the country, and the remaining 87% actually stand united against them. But sadly, all the benefits and good reasons for more parties in the government are completely in vain. Remember how I told you earlier that America theoretically isn't a two-party system? Here's the reason why you still only see elephant and donkeys run the show. The American system is actively discouraging diversity in the political landscape. Political races in the US are based on a winner-take-all principle. Example, you could be adding up all votes on state level and distribute seats according to the percentage of votes, which would allow a smaller party that gets, let's say, 20% overall to also get a fifth of the available seats. Instead, each district has their own head-to-head race with only one winner, where all votes of any not winning candidate basically get dismissed. Which also means that voting a third party instead of the lesser of the two big evils will automatically benefit your worst evil. That's where the idea of a throwaway vote for third parties comes from, and disturbing as it is, this claim is not completely wrong. In this system, only the biggest parties have a realistic shot on any seats, and an upcoming third party has not even a chance to establish itself. And that's stupid. Yeah, I know, ranting over the two-party system as the source of many problems just to end up on the realization that it itself is actually just a result of even deeper sitting problems is kinda not helping. Not that any of my videos actually has the power to change anything for the better, but the American de facto two-party system is still something worth scrutinizing and criticizing. Maybe the desire to fix this leads to actual improvements in the election system. And at least it could help you to reflect on your own voting habits. But after talking about fat shaming and now politics, how about something more fun next time? For real this time around. So, let me tell you why I think Quidditch is stupid.